completing a successful planning application, securing finance for your project, or understanding the uses for digestate. In Suffolk, we are working towards creating the greenest county. It is an aspiration that involves the whole county in responding to climate change and enhancing natural historic environment. And this is why I'm so pleased to be hosting this event on behalf of the East of England to enable the successful development of anaerobic digestion to divert waste from landfill and to generate renewable energy. This conference is one of 2 free events that Suffolk County Council, along with partners, is running on this subject. Today we will look to give you a realistic view of this technology, its successes and barriers, but more importantly, how we can overcome these barriers. Following on from today's conference, NISP will be running a further workshop designed to establish the links between food and organic waste, producers, processors, collectors and anaerobic digestion stakeholders. Using NISP's unique workshop technologies, attendees will have the chance to promote their haves and wants with all other delegates in search of opportunities and potential synergies. But back to today, and I would like to thank all of our project partners, the Environment Agency, NISP and Renewables East, who have worked extremely hard using their extensive knowledge of the industry to help pull together such an exciting event. Thank you also to Climate East for funding the event to enable us to run free conferences on behalf of the East of England. We have a fantastic lineup of experts who are going to share their knowledge and expertise with us, and I would like to thank them for giving up their time to be with us today. And finally, I would like to welcome the Right Honourable George Gummer, Lord Deben, who has kindly given up his time to join us as chair of the event and to deliver the keynote speech. I hope you find today useful, informative, in assisting you with future projects, and I hope you enjoy your day. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the idea for this conference arose in a fascinating conversation that I had with Lisa Chambers some months ago. It arose because more and more it seems to me that we are so ready on so many fronts and yet so unable to make the necessary steps to achieve the ends. It's a curious position. There's a wonderful comment about Anthony Buckeridge's school stories, which was said to be about boys who were teetering on the edge of adolescence. I think we're teetering on the edge of achievement in a whole range of environmental areas, and yet we somehow or other find it particularly difficult to get our act together. And it's for that reason that I hoped very much that we could do something in the East of England to take the challenge of anaerobic digestion, seek to bring together those who were concerned about it by networking to take the whole process on. And of course it comes naturally in Suffolk because Suffolk is embarked on this remarkable journey of creating the greenest county. We start off with enormous natural advantages, and there is still a great way to go. But we've made a very good start, not least by ensuring that almost everybody in the whole county is in one way or another, directly or indirectly, involved in this campaign. And it is a necessary campaign because the world is now facing a situation in which unless we become sustainable, we won't grow at all. I say that in those stark words because it has come to me more powerfully than ever since a recent visit to China. In working with the Chinese government on their new Climate Change Act, which will be a staggering change for that great country, and one which the United States will find very difficult to accept, because they are doing all the things that the United States says you can't do. The Chinese, in discussing this at the very highest level, now talk in the terms which even we in Britain have not yet made common. They say there will be no development unless it is sustainable. And they recognise that from their own problems, that they cannot grow at the speed which is necessary to deal with their economic demands unless they themselves learn to grow sustainably. They have to use the resources which they have, and many of those which they have actually bought elsewhere. They have to use those resources much more efficiently, doing much more with less, if they are in fact to continue to have that economic growth which is for them essential for their burgeoning population moving from the countryside to the towns, make demands on their government unequalled anywhere else in the world. So if China can see that, so increasingly the rest of the world understands it. They understand it that we have to do more with less, and we have to make waste a thing of the past. Of course, it's true that you cannot create anything without there being some residue. Better, of course, for it to be reused. Not quite as good, but certainly worthwhile for it to be reclaimed in some way. But there will still be that waste which we can't deal with otherwise than providing some means of translating it into energy. And anaerobic digestion comes right at the heart of that, because it offers us an opportunity to deal with waste which is particularly difficult in any other circumstances. It's also part of our waste stream which makes most of us most unhappy. It's a symbol of a society which has, in many ways, increasingly demanded simplicity and speed without considering the cost. Much of the waste we create, which would be suitable for anaerobic digestion, would be better not created. So I want in this first few moments to remind us of that. Before you get to anaerobic digestion, you get to waste minimization. Just as before you get to renewable energy, you get to energy saving and energy efficiency. And none of us should ever allow people to get away with jumping to generation before they start with saving. Because we are a society which has wasted as a matter of course, and I am old enough to remember that it's a society that moved from waste not, want not, to waste in order to create jobs, because that's actually what we did. And of course what we've now done is that to create a society where waste will destroy jobs. And the difficulty is moving from a society where waste was to create jobs to one which is recognizes the new circumstance. The difficulty, because so many people feel that these are measures which will cost and which will not have an economic advantage commensurate with the cost. So first, let's recognise that anybody keen on anaerobic digestion has got plenty of material without, in any sense, going away from waste minimisation as the first step. And the second thing is that we have to deal with the issue of cost. The real trouble is that we have a crazy economic situation and system. Many of the things that are most expensive in our society are left for others to pay for. That is our historic position. As you drive into London from the Heathrow airport, there's some very lovely bits of leisure fields on the one side. If you knew what was there before, you would recognise that there was a dump. And the dump was, in fact, the remains of the profits made by our Victorian forefathers. They made their profits, but did not pay the cost. And the cost was left to us. And we are the generation that has not only to pay for our own profits by internalising the costs, but we've also got to pay for other people's profits previously, who have left us with that waste, with that destruction, with those significant costs. So we do need to have a society in which the costs become internalised in order that our children shall not carry that cost, which should be part of the profits that we make. And so if you are on the right and you believe in the market, then you really ought to be very much in favour of what I'm saying. Because you, if you don't accept it, are suggesting that we should have a false market, a fake market, a market that doesn't actually charge the proper price. Now, I know that's quite convenient because we are busy making profits. We'd prefer not to pay the full cost. But this is one of those things that government have to step in to ensure, not because they want to buck the market, not because they want to fake the market, but because they want to stop the market failure, the fundamental market failure, which is that we allow others to pay costs which we ought to pay for ourselves. And as the others are very often us collectively, it is ridiculous that we should do that. The us collectively may indeed be the Suffolk County Council, which gives me the opportunity of saying that I want to thank the Suffolk County Council for all the work that's done to produce this conference, but also to remind you that it's in their interests. They recognise that as the organisation responsible for doing something with the waste once it's collected by the district councils, as they are absolutely at the centre of this issue, they have to find ways in which we can properly deal with waste. And the first of those must be to minimise it, and the second of those must be to make sure that in every circumstance those who create it should pay for its recovery in whatever way we propose. And the third issue, therefore, is just as important. It is that we need to have horses for courses. One of the things I find very difficult in dealing with the green issues, which are now my almost total concern, one of the things I find very, very difficult is that you get people who are proponents of a particular answer. Those who think that the only reliable renewable is wind power and are in the mood to attack every other kind of renewable. The people who believe passionately in photovoltaics and will suggest that only that will solve the problems of this and every other nation, all across the board become the enthusiasts for a particular outcome. And I've noticed that when I've talked about anaerobic digestion, I have to deal with two groups. I have to deal with those who think that anaerobic digestion is the only answer, that there's nothing else like it, that it is wonderful, and that it really cannot be gainsaid on any grounds. And I have also to deal with those who think incineration is so much better, and why are you bothering about this? So you always have that problem. And I want just to say that this is a world, this world of greenery, is a world of both and not either or. It is a crucial part of any decision that we make, that we're trying to find the best ways to solve particular problems and recognise that those ways will change and constantly be updated and sometimes will be outdated. There are answers which today seem absolutely excitingly, wonderfully new, which in a few years' time will be proved to be avenues down which we need not have gone, except that you have to go down them, because otherwise you don't solve problems. You have to face the issue that practice and experimentation is part of what we are trying to do. And then lastly, in these comments about anaerobic digestion generally,